It's time to get some
SportSense.
You're gonna get some
SportSense.
You better get ready for
SportSense. SportSense.
Is going to be led by you, I think, tonight.
Earn
Okay.
my keep.
Yeah, that's
Earn
right.
my paycheck.
All right. Welcome back to SportSense. This is the sports show for sports noobs, where my dad is helping us all make some sense out of sports. Welcome back, Dad. How's it going?
Hey, buddy. Good. I think you and I both just had a great Father's Day yesterday, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, so
You're first. You're very first. That's documented now.
right. Yeah, I mean now it's all old news next year. Macy probably won't get me anything again. It's I hope to get a note from my kids for the next couple decades. So anyways,
A lot more than that. I still get them.
Yeah,
and your oldest sister is almost 4 decades old. She's not liking to talk about that, but it's coming up fast.
She might not like it. She might not like it if I leave that in the episode.
Next summer, we got to. That's our little thumbprints because she listens. So. Next summer.
I won't say her name publicly, but happy almost birthday and happy Father's Day to you, Dad.
Thanks.
This is episode 35, and when people have asked about what this is or why I wanted to start it or whatever, of course I'll mention the sports thing because I'm trying to give them the elevator pitch to sell it to them. But then they always say, "Oh, and that must be so fun to connect with your dad like that. I wish I had something like that."
I guess there's other fathers and sons or mothers and daughters. I'm sure there's some, but I think that was a great part of your motivation. I thought that's really cool. I appreciate it.
I mean, yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do something with you for sure. Years ago, I was looking for a podcast like this.
Yeah.
And I never found one. Keaton tried to tell me about some, but they all were like over my head. They used all the sports lingo. I just couldn't get into it. They were in too deep already and I couldn't get into it. And so I did want to actually learn for sure. But yeah, no. So I just want to say I love you as my dad.
Thanks, Coop. I love you too. And that's what was fun yesterday, wishing you happy Father's Day. 5 of the 6 children have children now. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Mom and I are really blessed. That's for sure.
Let's get down to what the people are here for. They don't want to hear any
Give
sappy...
the people what they want.
Exactly.
Speaking of the people, I got to do a shout out.
Okay.
I keep feeling funny about this at church. I keep bumping into people. And this person stopped me yesterday and said, well, he was chasing one of his twins. And he had told me he's the one that had told Ryan.
Oh, yeah, Ryan, who came on with Chris.
He's the one that told him about the podcast. He said, then he's listening. All of a sudden, Ryan was on the podcast. He couldn't figure out how that happened.
Oh, that's great. That
George, if you're listening, maybe if you want to be on, then we'll tell
George.
Cooper.
I got no idea who
you
George
do. You know
is.
George Lopez. I call him
George. Okay. Yeah. I just never.
He's got the most beautiful twins.
Okay.
He's always on the run, sprinting through church, chasing them. But as he's doing that yesterday, he told me he enjoys the podcast. So there's a shout out.
Well, hey, thanks, George. That's awesome. Well, speaking of shout outs, if any of you guys, we fell off on the mailbag thing, right? When we started this, we got a few questions here and there and it was great, but nobody sent anything for a while. So sometimes people will send memes to our account. So I guess I can mention that, but anyways, yeah, if you got a question or a story, something you guys would like us to talk about, then email us at sportsensemailbag@gmail.com or just text us because you probably know us. So remember that time codes are in the show notes or description below this YouTube video or podcast, whatever you're looking at, and you can jump to whatever topic you're most interested in. And I don't have a plan for tonight, but I think my dad's got a few things in the hopper for us. Dad, with that, I'll let you take it away.
Nice. Well, we've got 3 main topics. We're not going to go super heavy or deep, but that's the point, right? There's enough touch of information and opinion that they can definitely talk around the water cooler.
I don't know if we want your opinion too much, but we'll get it, I'm sure.
You always get, what the heck? That's where all the fun is. But and then I have a couple of tidbits. All right, real quick. So tonight there's a game. What time is it? So NBA playoffs continue. So it's the best of 7 games. Right now it's tied 2-2.
Remind us
Yep,
all
I'm going
who's
to tell you,
playing.
it's going to be
Okay.
Indiana Pacers versus Oklahoma City, OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder. They're playing at OKC tonight. They're playing in Oklahoma, and those fans are crazy. I mean, they're well, all the gamblers, they're like a 9.5 point favorites, and so
they think Oklahoma's
OKC
going
is
to take
tonight.
it?
Tonight's game. Yeah.
Oh, tonight.
Tonight's
Okay.
And more than likely, I mean, but 2 games, anything could happen. But here's the interesting fact to this. I mean, so you could really be smart if you're talking to somebody right now. And after tonight, it might blow it up, but you got to quickly share it and use it. I don't know, but you can at least have known it tomorrow and from here on. 4 games they've played. This is crazy. I don't think this has ever happened. Out of the 4 games they played, the total points separating them. Now think about this: 4 games, total points between the 2 teams separating winning and losing. The total is 6 points.
Whoa. Okay, so in 4 games, they've scored almost the same amount of points with a 6-point difference.
Basically, 2 games by 1 point and 2 games by 2 points.
Okay, that's crazy.
6 points total. That's crazy.
Shows how neck and neck they are, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, OKC still is considered a stronger, better team, but Indiana's been pulling some miracles out in crazy plays. So I think isn't that fascinating? Second fact, information you might want to know, and because this is a little bit changed if you think about the Golden State Warrior era, some of the Laker eras in the 90s and other times. In the 80s, there's some domination. But this will be no matter who wins, whichever team wins, this will be the 7th year in a row where we have a different NBA champion. So no one will have repeated.
Yeah. There hasn't been a dynasty in a while.
Right. So this is very much similar to what I grew up with in the 70s. It was a lot of that. Just one man, just somehow just one at a time. Nobody really, not until Jordan's Bulls came along in, the late 80s.
Really? They were the first NBA dynasty?
Well, no, I mean, Boston Celtics prior to the 70s had all sorts of dynastic periods of winning, right?
Dynastic, okay.
That's a good word, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think I'm just a sports guy. I actually have a good vocabulary. Anyway, so I think those are 2 very fascinating tidbits or information about and it is fun. It is exciting. Let's see if they've started yet. But
do you have any money on tonight's game?
Now, what do you think? I don't gamble. 8:30 is tip off. 8:30 is tip off. So I have no money. I've never gambled on sports. I mean, the most I ever did is a pool with you guys or something, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's been mostly for pride or abuse or whatever happens. I don't think there's been money really exchanged.
I've been learning more about it lately, and a lot of people just I don't know. Maybe you have the propensity to just get. I think you would lose and you'd be like, I'm going to win it back this next time, and you would just lose everything probably. But I know a lot of people who just put like $20 in and they say, that's all. I'm just going to leave that, right. And if I lose it, I lose it. But
it's like those that play the lottery a little bit. It's that same thing. Some who have that discipline. Like I know somebody, he's just 4 years younger than I am. Highly successful businessman, retired a few years ago. Got lots of money, but he plays the lottery, but only when it reaches, I forgot what it was. The big one that through the whole nation, whatever it is, the big one
in North Carolina.
No, the whole country. Oh,
I don't know what that is.
Powerball, whatever the one is, they all play.
Okay,
but when it hits, like I think he buys $1 worth. He buys $1 ticket or $2, whatever's minimum now. When it hits 500 million or something, there's some number that when it hits, he'll buy, but he only spends like $1 or $2. It just cracks me up. He goes, I wouldn't waste my money. I mean, he's worth several $1 million, and
wow.
He just tickles me with that. But so no, I am no my everybody's got to know their nature, and by nature I would be a gambler for sure.
Yeah,
but because
you like that, I mean, that's part of why you like sports so much, is that high of like, are they going to win? Like you love a nail biter game at the very end.
I love it, but first I'd rather compete myself, right? That's
sure.
I love that competition, especially if it's coming down to it. You gotta make the shot or get a base hit and drive a run in. Or, yeah. And it's all on you. It's the last inning, last out. I love that. I always have.
Man,
when I was growing up, that's
funny.
That was the most fun to me. But anyway, so yeah, I would be better. Let's not get hung up on what I would have been without the gospel in my life. And good habits and good commandments to keep me in line.
Yes.
So anyway, that's big tonight. That's an interesting fact. 6 points separating after 4 games. I really believe that's got to be a record, and be the 7th year in a row. So there's no dynasty's been cooking. All right.
Crazy.
Any questions there? That's just good information.
No. Yeah, that is good. So, I mean.
And my pick has still been OKC from the beginning, right? So we'll see how I do.
You did, yeah. You've had some really spot on predictions. I don't know if the podcast is bringing it out of you, but the past 6 months or whatever, I've been really surprised by your predictions.
You've been making me pay attention. So now, hockey. Your love.
Oh wait! Hold on.
What?
I mean, before we move on, I mean, what's the? So you said how close they've been, but what's the current record? Like, how many games has Oklahoma City won, and how many games has...
You didn't listen in the beginning.
Did you say that? Oh, I'm sorry. That's embarrassing.
It's 2-2.
Okay.
Each one of them has 2 wins, 2 losses. 4 games have been played. There's 3 left. Well,
will they all be played this week? Are we talking about the championship next week?
So yeah, it'll be by the weekend. So the championship game probably, if they go to 7, I'm sure 7 is usually on a Sunday. They don't know, they schedule their TV ratings.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, good. Then hopefully next week, we should have a basketball special.
Yes.
Dig into it.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have a
maybe
we'll have a winner.
Maybe we'll have Ryan Victory back. I think he wanted to come back for that.
I bet he did. But
so
we might not let him.
Okay, so that's the Pacers and Thunder update. I'm voting for the Thunder just because their name is way cooler. So
it is cool. I told you before, I think last week, I'm pulling for it only because I predicted them.
Yeah.
But my heart would be pulling for the Pacers. I'd love to see them.
Oh, really?
Upset them. It's
just because they're more the underdogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a couple players but anyway.
And before we move on, who are like the two, like, is there a star on each team that we should know the name of? Like, who's the biggest on each team?
Well, that's the thing. On the Thunder, he's the MVP of the league. And here's how you say his name, because I had to look it up and really learn it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai is spelled Shai. Shai. Yeah.
I have a question about him while we're talking about him. So I posted a TikTok about the biggest flopper in the NBA that Ryan called out a few weeks ago. Yeah. He said it was well, now I'm forgetting.
Shai?
No. Well, that's the thing is, anyways, whoever it was, I posted a TikTok about it, and everybody, like tons of people commented saying that I forgot about SGA. Yeah. I was like, who the heck is SGA? And so I was Googling him and found out it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if that's how we say his name.
Yeah, that is it.
So is he still pretty infamous for that? Has he been flopping in this series?
I don't think so. I hadn't heard any. But again, I haven't been watching all the games. I've just seen a little bit. But I do listen a lot of different, from Fox Sports to Colin Cowherd to all these other guys. And I catch enough. And I hadn't heard any of them talk about, mention that at all.
Interesting. So he's actually a good player as well as a big flopper, apparently.
He's one of the brightest of the bright stars of the youngers, especially.
Yeah. Huh. So okay. All right. So we got.
So that's what the one, obviously the one for OKC.
Okay.
Pacers.
SGA.
Yeah, the Pacers, man. Again, this is what I told you that brought my interest back. Both of these teams play much more team ball, right? There's not a superstar demanding the balls, not Michael Jordan saying, I'm going to get mine tonight. I'm going to get my 40 tonight. It's just not that approach. So I like the team aspect of the ball playing that's going on. And they're not all step back threes, I told you before. So it has brought my interest back a little bit. But for the Pacers, it would be Tyrese Halliburton. He's the guard. He is the one that's made. Now, and it is an interesting fact. Now you're making me dig deeper. I remember a couple of things. So that's been the man of the hour. But the whole team has played really well. They've done great as a team. But he is their man. He has delivered. And their team in the playoffs, they have basically they are 9-11, so 9-2 on comeback wins in the fourth quarter, like in the last 2 to 3 minutes. They're 9-2, and I think Halliburton has hit 6. I believe it's 6 winners in the playoffs. The last second shots.
Really?
It's been
Whoa.
crazy. So he's been crazy hot. He has saved them on these, especially their 2 wins in the finals. But
So
all through the playoffs, he's been the man.
He's
now
clutch.
the whole team's played well. He is. Oh yeah,
As they say.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
so that's
cool.
been fun to see, and that's been exciting. But those are the 2 big names in my opinion.
Okay.
What you got there?
So your heart's with the Pacers, but your brain is with the Thunder. This
When
series.
you predict, that was the one I felt would win it, and that was back when Boston was in it and all those teams were in it. But
you said that a while back. That's why
I said it before the playoffs started. So that's that you got to predict before it starts, right? Or it doesn't count.
Right.
So
all right. Well, I hope everyone listening is very impressed with you. But that'll be it for basketball. We can maybe do a deep dive into whoever is the winner next week, and
we can talk more about it. But those are some good facts and good information, and it has been very exciting, especially for those fan bases. All right, let's jump quickly. I don't have hardly anything on the hockey other than, the Florida Panthers, who won last year, right? The Stanley Cup. They are up 3-2 over the Edmonton Oilers. So we just want to mention it. Just anybody that's hockey fans. But I'll be shocked if Edmonton doesn't put them away. Probably in the next game. I think it's tomorrow. But I do feel like they're going to win. If they win, they will have won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
Right. You'll be shocked if Edmonton doesn't put them away. Doesn't beat them.
The Panthers. Florida,
oh, okay. You said
they're
Edmonton,
up.
But
They're up 3-2. Well, I said it.
Right. So I would be shocked as well. Yeah, if the Panthers didn't take it home. Yeah,
but that'd be pretty big, impressive back-to-back.
Yeah.
Well,
like you said, because we've talked about just how hard of a journey it is for any team to get to a championship. We talked about it with college football. We talked about it with NBA. We've talked about it with this. It's just, you got to have that team mentality. And seems like you got to have a super strong culture and united philosophy too, which I know I'm getting deep here. But like with Florida, for example, Casey, so my brother Casey pointed this out, and I hadn't noticed it, but I guess they play really dirty. So they'll when the refs aren't looking, they'll jab a stick into the other player's throat, or elbow him here and there, just dirty, just throwing shots left and right. But they do it as a team, and so when the whole team's doing that, everybody's getting pummeled left and right. It's brutal.
And I don't pay close enough attention other than, and I know Casey says dirty, but it probably is. But to me, that just sounds like the old hockey I grew up with. and in fact, that sounds a little mild still but yeah, I don't think they don't hold back. And basically they're going to do whatever they have to. And then if the refs call it, they call it, right? There's penalties to call, but if they're smart enough to get away, mostly, that's just to get under the skin of the other player, right?
Right.
They're not physically probably damaging them, but they probably are getting in their heads.
Right. It's a mind game. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But the fact that the whole team is kind of in on it, it emphasizes to me it's been a theme of the podcast, is that to win a championship, you have to be united and strong as a team. You have to be playing as a team, which is cool. It makes all those movies, like Remember the Titans and Miracle and all that stuff. It makes it make more sense to me, the fact that you have to all come together so strong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So that was just that brief.
All right.
A little bit there. All right. Next is where you can put your hat on.
Oh, yeah.
Where I can
everybody.
see you.
If you're if you're listening on the podcast, I just put on my U.S. Open hat. I don't deserve it. I have never attended, and I barely
from
play
last
golf
year.
anymore.
We missed you. We almost had you there, but
I was supposed to be there. But here we go.
Yep,
U.S. Open Pinehurst.
We were all there in Pinehurst. But I told you this last year. I gave you that brief last week. Gave you that brief little. It's going to be at Oakmont, Pennsylvania, which is considered the hardest course really in the world.
Right.
And professional golfers would rather not play there. That's how bad
really?
it is. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They don't really like it. Let's put it this way: the elite, the top echelon group guys, they think it's basically unfair. They don't like to be humiliated on a golf course. But I think real golf fans, from what I listen to, at least my feeling, my take is, I think once a year, and so it's one of the majors, right? It's one of the 4 majors. So this was the 3rd of the 4th. Remember the Open, what we call the British Open, but the Open will be here in 2-3 weeks, whenever it is, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So this is the 4th major of the year, the U.S. Open. Anyway,
You mean this is the third one? The
excuse
U.S.
me,
Open.
this is the third of 4, 3 or 4.
Right. And they all kind of seem packed in the same couple months.
It
right?
is a brutal
So
schedule.
it's a busy golf season right now.
It is. The spring for the Masters kicks it off, and then the PGA Championship, and then they go over to Europe and have it. So it is packed. You're right. It's probably right at 2 months, a little bit over 2 months when they start. So it is packed in their golf season, and it's but this is the most demanding. Now this is going to be. Let's see. Last time they played Oakmont was maybe like 2016, maybe 9 years ago.
Okay.
So it wasn't that often. Now they're going to be on the schedule. I think it's every 6 or 8 years they'll be rolling through. But not all no matter what course they play at, the U.S. Open officials and they do grow the grass, the rough much higher. Things are tougher. They make the greens as fast as they can. So they make it as tough as they can. But all courses, even like Pinehurst last year, they can't do but so much. So some guys, I don't even know what he won last year, but some of them can still win like 8 under par, 10 under par, 12 under par, but most U.S. Opens, they like them to barely be under par. If not, they're happy if the winner is over par. That one tournament a year is meant to be an extreme test of their patience and their skill.
You mean the U.S. Open is supposed to be the hardest of the majors?
Right. Just they make the course the toughest. But on top of that, when they play Oakmont is considered the most difficult course basically in the world. And so
well, we had talked a month or so ago about how the Masters was the most prestigious of these major golf tournaments.
Yeah.
So, but if it's not the hardest, I don't know. But maybe it's prestigious because we talked about how traditional it is. But why? I don't know. So does the U.S. I guess are you saying the U.S. Open has the most meaning though? If you win it, does that mean you're like
no?
Because that's the toughest one.
No, I mean I think it's quite the badge of honor. But I think all of them have their own different individual reasons. I would rank it as second behind the one. If I were to win one of the 4, that'd be the second behind the Masters. Masters is just too cool. That's just the coolest.
Okay.
That's my person. I love the course is so beautiful. Whereas let's compare it to this. It'd be like, we just talked about UFC fighting, but let's go back to the old boxing. Lightweight Sugar Ray Leonard was a thing of beauty to watch. His hands were fast, his feet were fast. He danced around, jab, 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 and he'd get points, and then so that would be more like the Masters. It was just beautiful. He looked beautiful. He's handsome.
It was like the art of the sport. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was so quick, and it's a lighter weight, right? So it wasn't the big guy. And then the U.S. Open be like the big guys get and just slug it out. I mean, they just stand there and beat each other to death to see who knocks each other out, like the super heavyweights. That'd be the comparison of golf to me, the golf courses in the tournament. But the U.S. Open, just know that's the one they've always meant to make the most challenging, the most difficult course, and scoring is at a premium. I mean, if guys get pars, it's like getting birdies, for the most part. So on top of that, the last day particularly, they had some rain, but they got hit with an 1.5 hour rain delay, and there was a deluge that just covered that course. Now you got to understand, see my hands if anybody's watching, the rough is about 5 inches of fescue. Why that's important is fescue is what we have in our front yard, right? Single blades that come up.
Okay.
So 5 inches, about like that.
You're teaching me all sorts of vocab tonight.
5 inches. That ball gets into the rough, it drops to the bottom on the ground, to the ground. Whereas if it's a woven and tight grass and it's up, a lot of times it'll sit on it some or drop just a little bit. And you can get your blade of your club on the ball, right? You can't imagine these guys are just, they're lucky to have ball finders. They asked the pro. Now this is fascinating to me. They interviewed the pros before they play, a bunch of them, and they say, "What do you think a bogey handicap golfer? Let's just say it's me, and I tend to shoot bogey, right? Which would be 18 over par, right? That'd be a 9, generally a 90, which I don't. That's on a good day for me, but 90. They said what do you think on this course, the way it is, what do you think that golfer would shoot? And most of the guys said, if they could finish the round, if they physically could finish the round and mentally, probably around 140, 150, 160. And then they said, if they had to go by our rules, and that is you can take only a dozen balls with you, they would probably be through by the third hole or fourth hole because they would lose if they didn't have a spotter tracking their ball like we do. He said you'd probably lose. You wouldn't even get past the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh hole.
I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
So the pros have a ball limit.
Oh,
that they can,
yeah. So
the
a dozen
tournament?
balls apparently. At least on this one they talk about. Yeah, a dozen
I never
balls.
thought about it because I figured they were so good they would never lose a ball.
Oh, they'll lose it or lose it in the creek or hit it in the water. They do all sorts of things.
Okay.
But on a tournament like this, if they really didn't have a ball spotter, meaning ball spotters out there who go and put little flags in and help them find, they would have lost a ton of balls too. Because when it goes down that deep, you can't hardly find it unless you're basically in that area watching, ready to go find it.
In theory, though, if you were a golfer without a ball watcher in a tournament and you lost 12 balls, you'd just be disqualified.
Yeah, you'd be done.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Okay,
pretty
Never
cool.
knew that.
So imagine on Sunday they get, I don't know what it was, multiple inches of rain in a short period of time almost, or it was a lot. You would find it. You can even Google it now. If you Google U.S. Open squeegeeing the course.
Okay.
So the only reason, and this is all about money, right? They did not want to wait till Monday to play. Who's going to be watching Monday morning, right? The finish of the U.S. Open. No one hardly, because everybody got to go to work, average person. So yeah, look up some footage of them squeegeeing.
I'm just seeing
fairways, U.S. Open.
Oh, okay. Yeah, waterlogged Oakmont causes chaotic final round at U.S. Open. I'll have to put these pictures on our video
They're
here.
so crazy.
What the
But
heck?
in an hour and a half after that blast of all that rain, they got the course where it was, well, let's put it this way. They called it playable, but in some cases it was very difficult to play.
Okay.
But watching those crews work was a miracle unto itself. Hundreds of people out there, these guys, squeegees and cleaning off fairways. And, I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Anyway,
I guess they're equipped for that. They're like, if it rains,
right. They're ready.
We'll have thousands of squeegees at the ready.
Basically, hundreds. Yeah, they were ready. All right. So that's crazy. Bottom line is, and we don't have time, and I'm not going to take everybody because that's too much. And we're already 30 minutes, and I told you there's no way you can do this because I want to wrap this up. But I want to people be interested enough maybe to look at some of it. It's fascinating. So it was brutal anyway, but those ones who were still on the course, the leaders, if you will, at one point you had 6 guys tied at 1 over par for the whole tournament. 1 over. So nobody was even under par.
6 people tied for first. Yeah.
And then a bunch under that because a guy they would have double bogeys like that. I mean, you could be 2 strokes up and have a double bogey and bam, you fell right back. So anything could happen. Any of that probably, I bet though, with 4 or 5 holes to play, you probably had 12 players, 10 to 12 players. Any of them could have won. It was crazy. It was just crazy. So
yeah, you got me on the edge of my seat here.
So the fascinating part is some of the greatest players in the world didn't even make the cut. They got axed, 2 days. 2 days, they were above what they call the cut line. They didn't even get to play all 4 days. They cut half the field.
Okay, well, I didn't know that was a thing. Crazy.
Most tournaments cut half the field. The bottom half, they don't get to play on the weekend.
How about Rory McIlroy? Did he
made it on the cut line?
No way, just barely.
Roy was ticked off. He was ornery. He got so mad he slammed his club, which I've never seen, into a tee, the tee marker.
Oh yeah,
just shattered it. Roy didn't have a good tournament, and he wasn't too happy. Yeah. But and I like pulling for him, but he's been kind of sour since he's won. I don't know what's going on with him, but he made it. But
divorce is kicking back up, probably.
I don't know, something's going on. But anyway, so he was not a player. He made the final the weekend, but he was not competitive. Scheffler had a bad week, and he still finished tied for 4th.
Oh yeah, is he the one that you were hoping he would win? Okay,
yeah, he's the best in the world. But he said he had a bad week. Bottom line, so out of nowhere, not out of nowhere. He scored the lowest score. His name is JJ Spaun.
Okay.
JJ Spaun. The opening day, he was 4 under par. He led.
Whoa, dang.
Then the next day, I think he was only 1 over for that day. So maybe he was up. He was 3 under, 2 or 3 under. He held on for 2 days. The third day, he stayed up there, but other guys were coming back and forth. And everybody came back to what I call even par or above par, except for him. But he opened the final round. He was leading or tied for the lead, but he had 4 out of his first 5 holes were bogey. And it looked like he was just going to be crushed under the weight.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be able to.
Crashing out is what they call it these days.
Absolutely. Just rock bottom. It looked like he was going to shoot at 85 or something. Something crazy. That's where he was heading. But the rain delay, as he said later, saved him. His coach talked to him and says, hey, you are trying way too hard. Go back and just be who you are. So being who he is what I want to tell you. This is not a pampered golfer who this guy has been grinding for a good more than a decade. He was on the Korn Ferry Tour. That's the minor league tour, if you will, Korn Ferry, for years. Back in 2015, 16, won a couple Korn Ferry, he only won one Korn Ferry tournament. He had won one PGA Canada tournament. These are not big. These are 2015 and 16. Now, he won a PGA tournament, the Valero in Texas, the Valero, which is a PGA event, which is important, but it's, it's not the biggest of the tournaments. It's kind of modest, you know what I mean? But he won it in 2022, and that's it. He's been grinding all these years.
Wow.
But he's been playing great this year. He lost in a playoff to Rory McIlroy at the Players' Championship. Remember, you won't remember this, but we call it the kind of unofficial 5th major. So it's a big tournament. Okay. And he was tied at the end of the tournament and lost to Rory in a playoff. Oh, so man. He's, you know what I mean? He's been on the up.
Yeah, he's been fighting up. Yeah,
absolutely. So just to wrap it up, to keep it, he came back and had 4 birdies on the back 9, kind of made up, and nobody was making birdies.
Wow.
So he put himself on here's what you got to know. He made an incredible birdie at 17 to take the lead by 1 stroke. And I can't tell you the name. It was a British guy. He was already in the clubhouse watching the screen to wait to see if he was going to have maybe a playoff.
No way. Yeah.
Or on the last hole, it could conceivably, remember how wet it was? I mean, if he gets in the fairway, he easily could have a double bogey and that guy win.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only up 1 stroke.
Oh, so he's just biting his nails in the clubhouse while JJ Spaun.
Well, so he took a 3-wood and on the drive and shot it down it's a short par 4, but it's dangerous. There's just treachery on all sides, bunkers everywhere. The grass is wet. It's 5 inches tall in the rough. And he hit a 3-wood. So he didn't put a driver in his hand. He took his 3-wood, which he should be more accurate. And he was basically put it right down the middle, a little bit to the right, and was only like 95 yards out to the green. So then he took another conservative play and got it on the green. I mean, can you imagine? I would have shanked it so hard left or right or blown up my mind. But he got it on the green safely. So he said he hadn't even looked at he knew he was 1 stroke up two holes ago, but he hadn't really looked. He said he's just going to play offense. He's going to do the best. Except he did play conservative off the tee because he knew he was up. He knew he's at least up, he thought, 1 stroke. He said kind of thought he might have been up 2 strokes, but the other guy had birdied, and he didn't know that. So he's up 1 stroke. He hits it in, but he's 64 feet from the pin. He's on the green. These are monster greens. And you played enough golf, 64 feet.
Yeah,
so that's over 20 yards. That's over 21 yards of putting. But not just putting on a flat surface. He has got an undulation that goes whoop, and a big old hill and a hump, spins down and curves, and it hangs a big right. So to 2-putt to win would be unbelievable to 2-putt, honestly. Okay. To get it close enough to tap in for par and win it.
So he had 2 though. I thought you were about to say he had 1 shot.
No. He had 2 putts, but I'm saying for this tournament, it's wet, 64 feet for the tournament win. Lagging a putt even close would be extremely difficult because he had to go up and over a hill, had a big break to the right. It could have ended up who knows where. And he missed and had a bogey and been in a tie and had to go to a playoff, right?
Okay.
Anyway, so he lines up and you gotta love nerd golfer reporters. About some of them said 64 feet, but I found 2 or 3 that said 64 and a half feet. They threw the half in there. Is that hilarious?
That's awesome.
He lines up that putt and he can't even really see the hole He walked all around, saw it, but he knew where his mark was to hit up on that hill, but he really couldn't see the hole. That's how crazy the hump was. He couldn't see everyone. So he launches that 64.5-foot putt, and he says it felt good. So he's you see him walking up so he can get on top of the little knoll. And he said about 8 to 10 feet out, he said, that thing's tracking good. And he was feeling good. He rolled it in 64.5 feet for a birdie, and he won by 2 strokes.
Holy cow.
But he will go down in infamy of U.S. Open history. That will be shown every year for the next 50 years. I'm telling you.
Really? It was that momentous?
64. You got to go look at the putt.
All right. I'll put it up on the screen here.
Yes. You played enough golf. Look at the putt.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. It's like a putt hole is what he had to do. But think about that. He had been down in the dumps the first half day. Thank heavens the whole court, everything stopped for an hour and a half. He got his composure, came out on fire, the back 9, and then makes a 64-foot plus putt to put it away and win the whole thing.
That's so cool.
Knowing that he had only won one PGA tournament in the last 10 years, and it was a small one.
Yeah. That's so cool. Great. So a star is
his
born.
wife there and 2 little girls there. It was like the coolest.
Wow.
And his father, I think his father. I can't remember something about his father. Father's Day, U.S. Open always finishes on Father's Day. So.
I forgot we talked about that last week. Yeah.
Yep.
So did you get to watch it live?
This is all this. Everybody will know what I wanted for Father's Day. That's why we were over at Ashton's. I said, you know what? I just want desserts. And I want to watch the U.S. Open, the last part of it. But kids were wild and crazy. So we saw only up to, it's a long story, we broke the party up because they had the hour and a half delay. So everybody had to take kids home.
Dang.
So I come home and I did not see it. I saw it on my phone when I got home. So we left when he was on the 17th hole.
Yeah.
But I got to go back and watch. But we saw him making the move up and other guys falling back. So last fact of it. He was the only golfer, which is remarkable. He was the only golfer that was under par because of that 64-foot putt, which I'm sure drove the U.S. Open officials nuts. He was 1 under for the tournament. He was the only one that was under par.
Yeah.
Everybody else was over par. And
so he pulled off the whole. It sounds like his whole game was a miracle. That tournament, the whole tournament was a miracle for him.
I mean, I think
cool.
so. I mean, so yes. I mean. So out of nowhere,
JJ Spaun, a star is born.
JJ Spaun. Yep. So anyway, that's really cool. So I just had to share that with you because.
Dang. Well, yeah. I wish we should have made that the bulk of the episode. I didn't realize you had such a cool story.
We spent a long time on it. There's a lot, but just look them up. But you got to look up the putt and the squeegee and look at the commercial. So with that, let me give you 2 quick tidbits.
Okay.
Daddy tidbits.
Because this is kind of cool. Right now, you said last week or the week before, it really felt like there was nothing going on in sports.
Right.
Now that's coming because when NBA playoffs are over, NHL playoffs are over, 3 of the 4 majors are done.
Yeah.
And it is the dog days of summer, right? We just got baseball, the middle of the season. But here's 2 things interesting. What else is going on right now is the College World Series. Now, that's a narrow band, but the true baseball lovers love the College World Series. And there's 4 teams left. There's 2 playing each other right now, so they can play the final. But this was really cool today. It just happened. He closed it out sometime this afternoon. Arkansas pitcher Gage Wood is his name, Gage Wood.
Great name.
He had 19 strikeouts. That's crazy. I mean, he had a perfect game going. I mean, there had been no hits and no errors, no nothing. He hit a batter, ruined his perfect game. But he shut out Murray State. They're a Cinderella team. Shut them out. But here's what's interesting. He threw the first no-hitter in College World Series since 1960.
Whoa. So
65 years.
5 years, yeah.
And over 100 years of the College World Series, there's only been 3 no-hitters.
Wow. Crazy.
So
okay.
That needs noted, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, to not have any players hit any of your pitches for a whole game. That's crazy.
Well, that's crazy, yeah. And to have it in the College World Series is crazier. And to have it only happen 3 times in its history and then having it been 65 years ago since the last one.
Yeah.
So 1960 is the year of my birth. So I thought, wow, that's the last time there was a College World Series no-hitter. So I love that.
Wow.
The other is more of I think you would find more of a has to do with fandom, has to do with business. It has to do with kind of fascinating. You know, I told you I don't watch WNBA, but Caitlin Clark, I told you, came on, took it by storm last year. Remember, and then this year she was starting off. I mean, she changed everything. I mean, somehow, and she's considered only maybe third, fourth, or fifth best player in the league. But something about what she brought, she has the it factor. One of them called her a supernova. She's a supernova that came blasting through. Well, she got injured. I mean, the TV ratings last year, money went up, everything went up when she came on. She got injured at the beginning of this year and played some and then got injured. And she was out 2.5 weeks. TV ratings for the whole WNBA dropped 50%. Those 2.5 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So if anybody had any question, some of the other older players were very jealous. And they go, she is not, everybody loves us now. Everybody, well,
wow.
The data is in 2.5 weeks, 50% drop in ratings. She comes back, and the first game she comes back, I mean, I marvel at her. She comes back, and they play the New York Liberty. New York Liberty undefeated for the season.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is only the first quarter of the season, but still undefeated, best team in the league. And her team, which is Indiana.
Okay.
So they upset and beat them.
Ooh.
But here's one thing she did that was crazy. She had, I forgot what her total points. She had huge points, assists, and steals. But in 46 seconds, I believe it was, she buried 3 threes. So it's 9 points, 46 seconds in game time.
Wow.
Well, it's fascinating. 2 of the 3 were from 33 feet out.
Oh, how far is the 3-point line usually?
I don't know. For them, I think it's like 28 feet,
okay.
26 feet.
So as far way,
it's like, Steph Curry's known for his crazy distance threes.
Sure.
You ever watch? I mean, way back. I mean, he throws almost half court. He can make them.
Okay.
She's the same.
Dang. That's cool.
So she buried 2 of them with 33 feet out. Nobody had ever done that.
So she came back
that fast.
Came back from her injury with a vengeance.
Yep. And so everything exploded. The ratings were unbelievable in that game. And
wow.
I thought that was worth mentioning.
That's definitely worth mentioning. That's crazy.
Because it's fascinating. It's just a fascinating.
Well, and I wonder what
one player could have this kind of impact on an entire business and league.
Right. I wonder what her it factor is. Does she just talk great smack or
no? I mean, she's just tough. She's kind of wiry looking, and she looks kind of plain, I think. But she just, you know what she reminds me of? But she would die. I don't even ever. I'm not anything. I hope she never would hear this. But because of how she can play and what she does, and so funny, he played for Indiana State University. Is Larry Bird, one of the top 3 players for Bears all time?
Yeah.
Kind of just plain funky looking, but just amazing. And that's what she does. She got a lot of pizzazz. I mean, she's just a baller. I mean, it's just crazy.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is. She definitely has a it factor that's off the charts.
Yeah.
That's never been seen before in WNBA. That's for sure.
Well, shoot.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I hardly heard of the UFC before Conor McGregor, and I hardly heard of, I'm trying to think of another example, but like sometimes, all it takes is one athlete to draw in tons of new fans and so it's great when somebody can do that.
Yep.
But all right.
Yep.
Well,
that's all I got for you, man.
Yeah. You come in with great tidbits and you leave me wanting more. So I guess that's a good thing. And we'll save the rest for next week, but thanks so much, Dad. And let's wrap it up. And
it was great fun. Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Happy Father's Day. And for all the listeners still sticking around, make sure you follow us on the socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and get ready. Possibly the last game of the NBA championship series will be Sunday. And so we'll be ready to chat about that next week and give you the scoop in case you don't care about watching it and want the scoop next week. Get ready for that. So, okay.
Sounds good.
All right, Dad. Talk to you later. Bye.
SportSense.